Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wytpodd. My name is Harshit, and I'm the Director of Business Alliances at Wytlabs. We are a digital agency specializing in SaaS and e-commerce SEO. And I've got Rebecca with me today. She's the head of marketing at Matik. Now, anyone who's not familiar with Matik, it's a platform that connects data sources with data-driven content and makes it easy for anyone to create content with data tailored to their specific audience. A big welcome to you, Rebecca. I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
And let's start with what has been your journey in the field of marketing and what led you to your current position.
Yeah, I've been in marketing for over 10 years, which feels like a long time, but most of my background has been startup companies. So think Series A to Series C is my sweet spot. I've been really lucky in the sense that I've worked for companies that have indexed on enterprise solutions, so working closely with sales teams, to companies that have more of a self-serve PLG motion, so getting to work closely with product teams and a lot of different industries from fintech to SaaS, be even a little bit of B2C as well. So yeah, that's my history, if you will.
Brilliant. And how exactly did you end up with Matic?
Yeah, I was actually working at a medical device company and got an outreach from a recruiter. And I was intrigued because the problem they were solving was one that I was very familiar with and I knew others were familiar with. And then got to know the team. Both the co founders were amazing, the product was awesome. So it just became a really clear decision to move forward.
Brilliant. Now let's talk about Matic. I would love to, can you please provide an overview of the platform and how
Yeah.
it helps users connect data source with the data-driven content altogether?
Yeah. So another way to talk about what Matic does is we automate the personalization of content. And the data aspect is that we automate the creation of data-driven elements like tables and charts. So some of the most compelling use cases for our product are things like business reviews or renewal decks, things where teams like customer success are having to go pull data that is specific to the account, like usage, for example, and then weave it into a Google slide or Microsoft PowerPoint presentation or even an email. So what Matic does is we connect to the data source, a pretty cool tool in the sense that we query data, we don't ingest data, so implementation is super easy. So we connect to the data sources, things like data warehouses, so Redshift, Snowflake, CRMs, BI tools, spreadsheets, wherever your data may live, we connect to it. And then you just set up a template, a Google slide or PowerPoint or email template in Matic, and then just tell us like, hey, I want to create a table based on this query. And you can design it any way you want, whatever you can do in a Google slide presentation, Microsoft presentation, you can do in Matic. And that way, when customer success teams are trying to create business reviews, rather than going to dashboards to pull the data and do all those things that can take hours to create, they just go into Matic, say which account they want to create the deck for, and we spit it out.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Actually, the concept broadly reminds me of programmatic SEO. And yeah, that's how, like, with the data sources, people end up creating millions of pages and it gives, to be honest, not just value to the end user, but also bumps the business to a great extent on.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's a brilliant concept altogether. I would love to understand, Rebecca, with respect to the USPs of platform, what are those and how exactly Matic sets itself apart from the competition out there?
Yeah. I think in answering this question, it's really important to understand the environment we're in today. So obviously, the economy is a lot different than it was 5 years ago. When it comes to the tools in your tech stack, there's a lot more scrutiny. Like CFOs are getting involved in evaluating budgets and whatnot. So all of that kind of leads to a situation where whether it's a current customer or a prospect, you need to be constantly showing ROI. And when you're doing that, you need to have data feeding into it and supporting it. So this new world we live in now requires everyone to be including data when they're communicating with their customers. It's a great way to build trust with customers because you're not just saying, "Hey, you're just using this feature," or "We think you can do something." You have hard, concrete evidence to show them. And yeah, it's a table stake now. So all of that to say, the problem is lots of these traditional GTM teams, they're not data savvy. So the idea of going to a dashboard is one, can be overwhelming, and two, can be very unscalable. If you have over 30 accounts, that's probably months of work that goes in creating this kind of content. And that's where Matic comes in and really differentiates itself. We automate more of the workflow than others. It's not just like, hey, creating tables and charts. We have smart automations like conditional logic. So you can even be prescriptive on, hey, include this slide or don't include the slide based on what the data is. And then the second part is we're delivering all of that data and all of that storytelling in a format that GTM team members can use, like a PowerPoint slide, Google slide, or email. It's not, hey, go into Salesforce and pull this data or something like that. So for those two reasons, I think Matic differentiates itself from the market.
That's brilliant. Now, with your extensive experience in product marketing, what strategies have you found to be most effective in promoting a new feature or product in a competitive landscape you're in?
Yeah, I think one of the top things you can do is iterate. People think of launches as like a one and done initiative. Like you spend a week launching the product and that's it. But to really effectively promote a new feature or a new product, it's something that's going to take months. And during that time frame, you want there to be a lot of testing and optimization, not just from like a GTM perspective, but also from a product perspective too. The second thing is don't try to target everyone. I think a lot of people build features and products and are like, oh, so and so can use this, also this person or this team or this use case. And what ends up happening is you have a really muddled message where no one can fully comprehend why they should care. So starting off with one use case and then planning to expand is a great approach that really makes sure that you're nailing your promotion to a specific market. But that doesn't mean you can't experiment. It's almost like an 80-20 approach. Put 80% of your time and effort on one use case and 20% on testing out others.
Gotcha. And because you mentioned target audience, I would love to understand what's the target ICP for Matic altogether?
Yeah, right now, where we really are seeing a lot of success is with customer success teams. They're really the ones that have access to data on users, and two, like I mentioned before, there's a huge and urgent need for them to communicate out that data and showcase ROI. The reason I feel confident saying we have success with them is one, when we usually roll out Matic to those teams, there's just a lot of excitement from the the CSMs, because we're really solving a huge pain point for them. And secondly, more often than not, customers end up wanting more of us too.
Okay. And what size of businesses are like basically the sweet spot for you?
At Matic, it's mid-market and enterprise.
Okay.
So think like greater than 250 employees.
Brilliant. Now, can you share some insights into your approach to developing messaging tailored to the various audience segments that you have? And we have also done it in your previous roles as well. So I would love to understand how do you approach that?
Yeah. Gosh, it's something that's constantly evolved over the years. But there are two things that I think really make messaging successful. The first is you need to be able to speak directly to a pain point an audience is testing. And then the second is you need to be able to speak about it in their language. And I think people are really good about nailing the first part, but really fall short when it comes to the second part. And the best way to nail that second part is to talk to your target audience and really listen to the words they're using. What are they saying when it comes to describing their problem? I usually start with customers. So I do a lot of persona research when I join a company and I try to connect with customers on an ongoing basis. Two of my favorite questions to ask is, hey, if you were talking to a colleague, how would you describe our product to them? And then the second is, what are the top 3 benefits you would highlight? And again, just hearing the exact words. It sounds very simple, but I think in marketing, there's almost a tendency to want to make things like very creative or whatnot. And in the process, we lose the message and the heart of what we're trying to say. Another great way of doing this too is by following the thought leaders in the space. Like I join like a lot of different communities that support our target market, and really just hearing and listening to what they're saying and how they're talking about the problems. And always incorporating and testing it out in messaging. And I know I talk about testing a lot. Like I die by that. I think that is the key to everything on marketing and things being successful is just test. Even if it's something that you hear from the sales team, hey, they mentioned this. Run an ad and see how it does. Use all that research to develop hypotheses and then test it out to see what works.
Okay. And what channels are you mainly leveraging? Like you just mentioned paid ads. What are the
Yeah.
other that you primarily leverage to just broadcast your messaging altogether?
Yeah. So paid ads. It's important to know Matic is a Series A company. And I think what stage your company is at really influences the channels you kind of index on and lean on more. So right now, as we're building awareness, we lean into paid ads. LinkedIn and Google have been great for us. LinkedIn in terms of pushing out our messaging and getting in front of people, and Google in terms of meeting people when they're searching for things that we problems we solve. Paid ads, we've been doing a lot of partnerships. The CS community, I think, is a very unique community in that everyone's so kind and friendly and wanting to help and support one another. So there's been a lot of great people had the opportunity to partner with. Events have been great for us, whether it's in-person dinners or virtual summits, just in terms of helping bring that community together and giving them opportunities to connect while also raising awareness for Matic as well. But those are like some of the primary ones: partnerships, events, conferences, and paid ads. Obviously, SEO is a table stake. It can take a while to build. We definitely spent a lot of effort into it middle of last year, and we're seeing some of the benefits of it now.
Okay, thanks. Now, because you mentioned partnership, so I'm assuming that's basically your referral programs, that kind of setup you have with your partners, right?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
So when you say partnership with the CS professionals altogether, is it like on the basis of the referral programs that you're running in-house, or is it some different sort of partnership altogether?
Yeah, it's a different kind of partnership. For example, there are organizations that have communities like Slack communities. So partnering with them, whether it's for content syndication or sponsored webinars, like those individuals who are thought leaders in communities, partnering with them in terms of getting them to speak at our virtual summit or co-hosting a dinner.
Oh,
There's a lot of different flavors, but referral programs, I've definitely seen success with those in the past, and it's something we will likely explore, but takes a lot of effort to get set up.
definitely. So currently, Matic doesn't have a referral program altogether. That's what.
No, we don't.
Okay. Okay. Right. Now, definitely like in your past experience as well as here, I'm sure like you must be looking into the consumer journey altogether on your website. And definitely one of the biggest slip people have is people do sign up on your platform, but there's a slip. They don't opt for a paid plan altogether. They do not become your paying customer. If you're offering a freemium model, just in case on your site. Okay. Have you seen such scenarios, or are you having that kind of premium model on Matic? Are there slips? And if there are any strategies where you end up basically turning those signups into a paying customer, anything on those terms?
So at Matic, we don't have a freemium product. Our product requires you to talk to sales and purchase. Again, just because, at least for right now, that's where our focus is, the bigger companies, and there tends to be a little bit more lift required on their part. But in past lives, I've encountered this thing, right? It's like, how do you convert signups into those paying customers? Yeah, I can speak to that if you want.
Yeah, please. And in
Yeah.
fact, with Matic as well, because you said that there's a demo schedule, there's a sales call schedule. Okay. I'm sure there must be some drop-offs after the demo to eventually making them to your end customer, paying customer altogether. Is your marketing also helping your sales facilitate those dropouts and helping them convert?
Yeah, I think it's a really different beast, right? Because in the self-serve PLG world, the product is who you're speaking through, if you will, or working with to convince those prospects. Whereas in the sales world, it's not only, hey, the sales team is the one interacting with them, marketing supports and helps and strategizes. But at the same time, the buying journey is also very different, fundamentally different, right? In self-serve PLG land, there's usually really one person, i.e., the user you need to convince. But in the sales world, it's a whole other ballgame because there's the person who's using it, there's the person who may be the admin, then there's the team leader, the C-level decision maker, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I think when it comes to what's been the most effective, it's one, working closely with the sales team to understand what are the top reasons people are dropping off. And marketing, I think the best way you can help the sales team in those instances is one, by doing research and arming them with the knowledge they need to better counteract those objections. And two, giving them the content and air cover to handle that as well. So, like creating collateral they can send out or doing more education further up the funnel so that by the time someone is talking to them, they're already educated and it's less of a hurdle to overcome.
Okay. Okay. And please share your past experience as well, where you had a premium model altogether. After sign up, there are drop offs and strategies which are helpful to.
Yeah. The one thing that really helped us was personalization. I think when it comes to, especially if you're using email, because no one wants to take a call to talk through like a $20 per month product, it's not just about educating people on the features. It's about helping them connect the dots on how they can use it and how they can realize value. Focusing on one message. I think human tendency is to just list out everything, which works out for early onboarding emails when you're trying to give them the scope of what you can do, but it can be really overwhelming. So subsequent emails should really dial in, and that's where personalization comes in. It's what team are you on? What are you on? What is your possible use case? And then focusing all of the content on what your product can help them do and breadcrumbing them to realizing that value. So it might be something as simple as, hey, you're on this team. This product can help you accomplish X, and this is how you accomplish it.
That actually makes sense. Segmenting on the basis of use cases and then throwing those personalized messages. So yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, in your experience, how important it is for marketing and sales team to align their messaging? And could you share any strategies or best practices for achieving this alignment?
Oh man, it is so incredibly important. If you think of it from the prospect perspective, if marketing is saying one thing and sales is saying something else, it creates confusion and also makes the company look so sloppy. So yeah, I think it's critical for sales and marketing to be aligned. What I've seen be key to achieving this alignment is no one should be telling anyone what they should be saying. It's a joint partnership. And I think a lot of the friction comes from one team trying to exert their power or their control or whatever it may be. But the way you should be approaching it is, hey, both of us are trying to figure this out. We're both going to be running tests, whether it's in phone conversations with prospects like sales does, or maybe through ads or the website as marketing can do. And sharing that feedback on what's working, what's not working, testing together and coming up with the hypotheses together. And at the end of the day, when you have all that feedback, both quantitative and qualitative, it helps build a case for a certain message, for certain messaging, and makes it easier to align. So it's less about, hey, marketing thinks we should be talking about the product this way, or sales only likes saying these things on a call. It becomes more of, hey, this is the right messaging because we're both seeing it work when we take it out to the field.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And you have brilliantly put it. See, what happens is in most of the organizations, and I've seen it like experiences firsthand. And I've been part of marketing teams, I've been part of sales teams as well. And just doesn't, they don't go hand in hand. Not always sunshine, to be honest. And yeah.
I think the one thing I would add to that is it's really top down. It comes down from leadership and the culture of the company. I've been at companies where marketing and sales are just butting heads constantly. It's like very dog eat dog. Everyone is quick to blame the other. I'm really fortunate at Matic. It's been a true collaborative partnership. Like we're all very eager to hear and learn from the other team and just work together. And I can't tell you how great it is to have that one team, one dream mentality versus having not only to focus on the KPIs, but the politics too.
That makes sense. Since you mentioned KPIs, I would love to know what are the main KPIs that you basically, I would say, way more. And yeah, on the basis of those, you take your informed marketing decisions altogether. What are the
Yeah, revenue. It all comes down to revenue.
talking like
Um,
sales? You're talking like a sales guy now. Come on. Let, let's
well, hold on, let me finish. It really does come down to revenue, right? It's both the directly attributable, hey, marketing brought this deal in, as well as how does marketing influence revenue? So maybe it's a cold outbound email from SDR that secures the meeting, but how did marketing maybe raise the awareness about the product and service so that they decided to open the email and respond? Obviously, there are other metrics we look at, right? Like leading indicators, looking at the funnel, qualified opportunities, meetings scheduled, and then channel specific ones, click through rate, depending on ads or emails or whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, in today's environment, revenue is the end all be all. Now, I think the marketing leader's responsibility is to make sure that others understand that we may not see revenue impact in month one, especially when you're launching brand awareness campaigns. That takes a good 4 to 6 months to see maybe a deal close or even a lot of meetings come through. And that's the marketing leader's responsibility to both lean on what you know, what the people you hired are saying, and educate people on, hey, we're launching this content campaign. There's some leading indicator metrics, but we're gonna let it run. And unless there's some huge red flag, 6 months from now, we'll analyze and see what the impact was.
Okay. And Rebecca, because you're working with multiple channels altogether, plus the audience that you're targeting through Matic enterprise clients needs a lot of touch points. So I would love to understand, are there any specific challenges or maybe you have cracked the code of attributing
Yeah.
your thought, please?
Yeah, that's like marketing's holy grail, I feel like. It's the one tool that will track everything. Of course, like all of Google and everything is like tossing things up with cookies, and just when you think you have it, something changes. So when I just a little bit of context, when I started at Matic, I was the first marketing hire, and there really was no marketing infrastructure. So I like to work from the bottom of the funnel up. So it was first like, hey, let's start with tracking on where do people who sign up for a demo, what was the last channel they came from? So starting there, we actually do all of our attribution tracking, which I would say is pretty robust right now, all through Salesforce. First, starting with, okay, demo requests, what channel did they come through? Let's track those UTM parameters. Then it was like moving further up the funnel. So it was like, hey, we are going to start putting content out there. We do gated content because we're still in the process of figuring out which content works. And when you gate the content, you get insight into who's downloading it and if those are the people you want to attract. But then using Salesforce's campaign structure to track, okay, which content are people interacting it with, which channels are they doing? And we've now come to a point where between Salesforce and a Google Sheet, we are able to track not only direct attribution, but the influence. Hey, this opportunity came through on the account level. What content did they interact with? What of our events did they go to? The next phase is obviously going down contact level, but for right now, where we are maturity wise, account level works.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I would love to understand how exactly do you and what strategies has been working in your content development area altogether? How do you approach it? And because like it's a B2B space, so definitely it differs a lot. So please.
Yeah, content has evolved so much, right? It's 10 years ago, just having a blog was enough, but now between Google's expectations for SEO and also the appetite of the market, it's a table stake, but I actually don't know if people are reading blogs as much as they used to. So when it comes to content, what I found to be what I found works is things that are actionable, things that people can read or download and immediately do something next. There's the next step, right? So templates are great, playbooks are great. It also allows you to leverage your like whatever your competitive differentiator is in terms of knowledge, your unique knowledge. and share that out. Thought leadership, again, is great and you need to have an opinion, but more often than not, people are trying to solve a problem. And if you have content that helps them do that doesn't require you downloading a product or something, then yeah, that's what I see succeed. For distribution, it's like initially we're focused on paid ads, partnerships, and communities, and starting to build SEM.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
And now coming to my next question, what advice do aspiring marketing to in the industry based on your own career journey and experiences?
Yeah. If you don't ever encounter an opportunity to try something new, whether it's an initiative in a company or maybe even a completely new role, and if the only reason you're hesitating to take that opportunity is because you feel like I don't have enough experience, I'm afraid of failure or whatever it may be, take it. Take the opportunity because at the end of the day, not only would you have learned something new, but you're also building the muscle of trying new things, like getting over that fear and also learning how to figure things out. And especially in marketing where the landscape is constantly changing. Like again, I've been here over 10 years and it almost feels like a completely different discipline from when I first started. But that ability to try new things and figure things out is something that will set you apart and help you make a company successful.
That's wisely put, and I completely
Mhm.
agree with you. Every day there's something new that comes out, especially in digital
Yeah.
marketing space altogether. And yeah, there's never-ending learning curve that you have. So yeah, that's what gives people kick, and yeah, keep on evolving.
I think you're right. That's the fun part of marketing is just always something new.
It has been like too businessy, and I would love to have a quick rapid fire with you. I'm ready for that. Let's make it personal.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. What habit holds you back the most?
The need for perfection, I think it's something that started back and, school days, but it's something that I constantly remind myself, like, it's better to get something done than to have it be perfect.
Are you a overthinker?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have a plan A, plan B, plan C to Z.
All right. What chore do you absolutely despise doing?
Vacuuming. I don't know why I hate it. It's maybe the fact that I have to push this thing around the house, like, I would much rather do anything but vacuum.
Okay. What subject do you find to be most fascinating?
History, especially I know this is really weird. Medieval history is super fascinating. I think mostly because humans just do the same thing over and over again, so it's always fun to read up.
Right. What career did you dream of having as a kid?
Oh, this is gonna be very nerdy. Neonatologist, so that is the doctor who takes care of premature babies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Coming to the very last question. What did you last search on Google?
For a pair of pants, I'm looking for a specific pair of pants, and that's what I searched.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for the time, for sharing your experiences. I really enjoyed this session. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.